elections. Elections, ladies and gentlemen, the only multi-starrer show that gets a bigger audience than my movies. They have more song and dance than Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, and more costume changes than Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. Throughout elections, sabko kuch kuch hota hai. Politicians look at voters and sigh, "Eh dil hai mushkil." Voters look at politicians and wonder, "Kal ho na ho." All leaders advertise their kurban for the country and promise to walk down the Agnipath for people. And every election means I can ask new general knowledge questions to guests on Coffee with Karan, like who is India's Prime Minister? And my guest answers, perhaps Devendra Fadnavis. Thank you for listening to this campaign pitch for my movies and shows. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Vineet Jain, Managing Director of the Times Group, to stage for his welcome address. Vineet Jain, ladies and gentlemen.
Honorable Ministers, award winners, ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to welcome you to the Economic Times Awards for Corporate Excellence. I must start by extending a very special thank you to Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who's in Mumbai after many months, for fitting this event into his schedule. He will join us on stage shortly. Later this evening, the Vice President of India, Shri Venkaiah Naidu, will grace the stage as well. It is now traditional for the ET Awards to bring together business leaders and policymakers. So a big thank you to Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Road Transport Highways Shipping Minister Nitin Gadkari, and Railways and Coal Minister Piyush Goyal for their presence. I'm sure ET will utilize this opportunity to ask some tough questions on their policy agendas. In recent years, we have seen India start to flex its policy muscles. At last year's ET Awards, there was much discussion about the successful implementation of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code and the Goods and Services Tax. These reforms appear to be bearing fruit. The Bankruptcy Code is having a profound impact on India's corporate landscape. And last month, GST collections crossed rupees 1 lakh crore, a level which is considered appropriate. This government has also taken a strong stand on what is turning out to be one of the world's most sought-after resources: information. Data is the new oil, is a catchphrase today. And if it's true, India has one of the world's richest reserves. I hope our draft data protection law will bring in much needed safeguards for the data of Indian citizens. A data protection regime devised by RBI is already in place in the financial sector. These measures do not mean we are erecting trade barriers, as some have accused India of doing. These are legitimate means of securing this valuable asset. Indeed, they represent a potential business opportunity for companies who could create the infrastructure to host and manage data within the country. It could be an opportunity for international companies as well, who I'm sure have taken note of India's rise in the global ease of doing business. We are ranked 77 among 190 countries, an impressive improvement in just a few years. We should strive to enter the top 10 over the next 3 to 4 years. Efforts to improve ease of doing business are a legitimate demand from the business community. It's a core part of good governance. It is worth noting that this is the 20th anniversary of the very first ET Awards ceremony, which was held way back in 1998. Over the years, our winners have faced a variety of business landscapes, external challenges, and market conditions. We have seen incredible comeback stories and rags to riches sagas play out and be celebrated on this stage. I've always felt that the ET Awards are a reflection of the changing contours of corporate India. This year is no different. The winners represent financial services, consumer products, sustainable energy, and software. They have each faced and overcome unique challenges and made their mark on the lives of Indians. And tonight, they make a mark on the honor roll of India Inc. I would like to thank all of you once again for being here tonight to celebrate their achievements. Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet. Thank you for addressing a room full of very powerful and rich people. We will now begin this evening's highly anticipated policy discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say aap le swagat hai to Nitin Gadkari. That's welcome in Marathi in case you didn't know. Bodhisattva Ganguly, executive editor of the Economic Times, will have a high-impact chat with a minister who can actually say, "My way is the highway." Mr. Gadkari, request you to join us on stage, please.
Thank you, Mr. Gadkari, for once again for coming. I don't think I'll be inaccurate if I say that I think overwhelming majority of this audience will probably give you a 5-star for your performance. I mean, there has obviously, as is well known, been a dramatic pickup in the pace of highway construction. Of course, very recently, something which you're passionate about, multimodal transport, using the rivers as to transport goods has also started, which is something which you're passionate about. Cleaning Ganga is something which you have also brought into the public domain. But I'd like to, I'd like you to wear your hat as a major politician. You've been the Rashtriya Adhyaksh of the BJP some years back during a tough period for the party. We have elections coming up in the winter and, of course, in the general elections. So let me, if you can, don your politician's hat for a moment. There is some talk that this government is likely to come back, but maybe the majority will come down. It'll be tougher this time around. What is your assessment of the situation?
Actually, presently, I am concentrating my all efforts on my ministry. Because in party activities, very small role we have as a member of parliamentary board. Every politician thinks about his next election for 5 years.
Right.
As far as the performance of our state government is concerned, the agriculture growth rate in Madhya Pradesh is 23%, the highest in the country. At the same time, in Chhattisgarh also, after the new state, the growth rate, development, very marvelous. In the Rajasthan also, as far as Vasundharaji's government is concerned, they done excellent job. And under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi ji in the country, we are taking a lot of initiative in the different fields. And I am confident that in this thrust, definitely we will get a reasonably good majority. That is my expectation.
Okay. So let me ask you, on your ministry, you've, what you have done, what you've accomplished is fairly well known in stepping up the pace of construction in the last 4 years. There has been a dramatic step up in highway construction compared to the previous 4 years. But if I can ask you, since you've now been in office handling 3 major ministries, what has been what would you rate as the frustrating things that you've had to encounter? For example, is dealing with the bureaucracy, has that been more difficult than you anticipated? You've talked about bulldozing bureaucracies also in the past.
I always feel that the problems are everywhere.
Right.
There are some people who convert problems into opportunities, and there are some of the people who convert opportunities into the problem. I am a very positive oriented person. I always try to find out the way out and solutions. I don't have any problem, no money problem, flooded with money and resources. Only one problem which presently I am facing, that we have at least 150 project involvement of cost of 2 lakh crores. The financial closure in the banks is becoming a very tough thing for the investor. And that is one of the problem that I feel that it is the appropriate time for the Reserve Bank to support infrastructure in the country as per our growth rate is concerned. But unfortunately, many times because of the circular issue by the Reserve Bank, creating more complications, and this is the one of the reasons that I am facing problem as per the financial closure is concerned. I always discuss with Piyush ji and Arun ji for that. So this is the time that everyone in my sector now, as an NPA, when I taken charge as minister, there was 403 project, involvement of cost of 3,85,000 crores. My only department save Indian bankers from the NPA of 3 lakh crores. Our track record is good. Now the contractors are in good position. Previously they were facing some problems, but now they are in good position. At the same time, when there was a bad situation, land acquisition problem, environment problem, other utility shifting problem, at that time banks support all the contractors. But now when everything is clear, and now there is a good response, the economic situation good, the government is transparent, decision-making process is fast, and in a golden opportunity for the investor and contractor. I don't know what is the reason that the banking are not making financial closures. And because of some circular issued by the Reserve Bank, it is very painful for me to tell you this thing, because I'm a minister, as a cabinet minister. I'm a part of the cabinet. But now this is the time that I am expecting from the bankers and Reserve Bank to support infrastructure, because last year contribution of my department in GDP was 3%. And if the bank support me, I am giving you the guarantee that we will make 3.5% of contribution in GDP in my own department. All projects are economically viable, IRR is good. But this is the problem. But I feel that Arunji is now, his health is good, and he's looking after, and he will find out the way out.
So have you had any interaction with the Reserve Bank in this regard? What has been the response?
It's not my job. I don't want to meet him. My experience is not good.
Okay, so let me, what would you regard as, during this, sorry, you were saying something?
No, I don't say. मैंने कम शब्दों में बात बता दी आपको. इसको जिसको मिलना चाहिए, जिसको मिलकर कुछ फायदा होता है, काम होता है. जहाँ फुकट मिलने में कोई होगा नहीं तो क्या फायदा.
Okay. No, I just wanted to, so you were able to monetize many of the highways in recent times. What are the, any further sort of monetization measures that is on the
We
anvil?
have some now 11 to 12 bundles. Right. And the first time when our first bundle was launched in TOT, our expectation was 5,400 crore, and we get 10,000 crore, 150% oversubscribed. Now, just 3 days before in Mumbai, we have launched that road show. And it is also a model of something 5,000 crore. I don't have any problem. I feel that we will get good response. Previously, whatever the response was given by the foreign investor, the same time we are expecting that type of response from investor, we will get it.
Again, Nitin, you've not, sometime when you were in Bombay, you expressed frustration over the Navy, holding up certain projects, so on and so forth. So how...
that was totally misinterpreted by media. Okay. I'm not against Navy and paramilitary forces. My reservation is, you are the Mumbaikar. They want land for their residential houses in the BPT area. Now we are going to develop East Front, making big, my planning is making of a garden of 1,000 hectares like Singapore. And the seafront, everything. Now I have reservation to give that particular land for housing. That is the only reason. Nothing, I'm not against to a Navy and military, but that's why I say I will not give any land in BPT for the residential purpose. Some of the media people, they represent that I don't want to give an inch of land to the military and everything, it was misinterpreted. But the fact is that we want to protect East Front. It can be a golden opportunity for Mumbaikar, that we want to develop an international marina, international cruise terminal, the garden bigger than Singapore. And that is my dream, where we want to invest the money to give a good environment to the people of Mumbai. And that is the reason that I'm not interested to give any type of land, even for commercial purpose, even for any hotels, any restaurants. We want to develop it in the point of view how we can develop the ecology and environment of Mumbai to give a clean air to the people of Mumbai. That was my dream.
Okay. So I know multimodal transport has been one of your passions. I mean, recently I think we celebrated the arrival of a consignment in Kashi. What are the next steps that you have?
Actually, it's a very interesting project, and I will appeal all of the investors that in the world market our logistic cost is 16 to 18%. In China it is 8 to 10%. In European countries it's 10 to 12 to 13%. But now, for example, if going by road, if the cost is 10 rupees, going by railway is 6 rupees, and going by water is only 1 rupees. And now we are interested to use methanol and ethanol as a fuel. And methanol is indigenous. So we can get that cost by 50 paisa. So now already we have started transport in Ganga. This year we are expecting 80 lakh ton of traffic for that. Next 1.5 year, we are expecting 280 lakh ton of traffic from there. And it's a container traffic that we have already given guarantee for maintaining of drop of 3 meter. And now for Kumbh, we have completed dredging from Allahabad to Varanasi and 1 meter. And we are making 4 river ports in Allahabad. 4 multimodal hub already we have completed Varanasi, and other 3 multimodal hub, Haldia, Sahibganj and Gazipur.
Right.
We are going to complete within 3 months. Then we have making full dredging in Brahmaputra. We completed dredging in Barak. We also completed dredging in Bangladesh. We spent 250 crores in Bangladesh for spending of dredging for Brahmaputra. So you can take any material from Varanasi going to Bangladesh, Myanmar, up to Bangkok and Southeast Asia. Now the total, the sugar from UP, the industry is now planning to export sugar from Varanasi to Bangladesh from our river waterways.
Right.
But at the same time in Mumbai also, lot of things are developed, particularly the waterways are concerned in New Mumbai airport, where we have just get the report from the consultant that my idea is just like Venice. Anywhere from Mumbai with water taxi, you can take the water taxi and you go up to the airport of New Mumbai. And I am confident before completion of construction of airport, we will start waterways even from this area. You can see the water taxi by and going to airport within 20 minutes. And now we have finalized a technology where the engine is automobile, the propeller is aviation from aviation engineering, and the ship. The speed of that airboat is 80 kilometer per hour. So we are launching that airboats in Ganga now first. And now water transport is my mission. And we have already converted 20,000 kilometers of river length into waterways. Out of which 10 waterways we have already started work. And the most important thing for the Mumbaikar, that we are making express highway, 12-lane express highway access control from Mumbai to Delhi. And out of which from Vadodara to Mumbai, 44,000 crores works are already awarded. And the next 15 days we are going to award work from Delhi to Jaipur. And the most important thing is this is from backward area, tribal area of Rajasthan, from tribal area from Rajasthan, Haryana, Maharashtra, Gujarat. It comes start from Gurgaon, going to Jaipur Ring Road, then Savai Madhopur, Alwar, then going to Jhabua, then Ratlam, and coming to Vadodara. The total land acquisition cost which we have saved because of new alignment is 16,000 crores. And we will make Mumbai to Delhi within 12 hours, within 2.5 years. That is mission where we are working on that.
Okay, so I'm being asked to wind up, but I'll ask you one last question. You've handled 3 ministries to general acclaim, and you've really transformed the infrastructure of the country. Earlier, you had perhaps transformed the infrastructure of this state. If I can ask you, what would you like to do next?
I don't like anything next. I'm a member of parliament. Even when I'm talking with the people, I always appeal them, if you want to vote me, please vote. If you don't want to vote me, no problem. And I'm not an ambitious politician. I have a mission. I belong to RSS and Vidyarthi Parishad. Politics is the instrument of socio-economic transformation. I don't have any PR with anybody. I don't want to use any methods for any new ambition. I am happy whatever the work which we have, and I am satisfied. I don't have any problem for that.
Okay. Thank you, Gadkari ji. Please stay on stage
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please stay on stage. Karan Johar will take the program.
Thank you, Bodhi. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bodhi, you went 1 minute beyond time up, and you know when a man should read times up, what he must do these days. Thank you, sir. Can I request you to stay on stage for our next award? I will now request Mr. Gadkari to present the award for the Entrepreneur of the Year. So, ladies and gentlemen, is it windy outside? Because then our award winner may be planning to set up a power plant on Marine Drive. Entrepreneur of the Year award goes to Chairman and Managing Director, Renew Power, Suman Sinha. Mr. Sinha would love for you to say a few words on that podium, actually.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to, of course, thank the Economic Times and the jury for giving me this incredible award. I think for all of us who are in the corporate sector, this is certainly one of the most coveted awards. So I'm really delighted to have been conferred this honor. Of course, you know, our company, as all of you know, is not very old, and I've had to rely on many different people to help me in this journey. So let me just take a quick minute to thank them. First of all, of course, our shareholders who've been with us all the way through this journey and who've stood with us quite steadfastly. Secondly, our phenomenal team. I was very lucky that I hired a team of people who came with us right from the beginning and have been with us ever since then. And I've really relied upon them to help us get to this point. So thank you, team, from the bottom of my heart for all that you've done and continue to do for us. Thirdly, and of course, some would say most importantly, I'd like to acknowledge the participation and the role of my wife, Vaishali. She's been my moral compass and my guide to get me to this point, and her interest and her role in our company continues to be there. And of course, Vaishali, thanks a lot for being my partner in this journey and for helping me get to this point and for being part of the journey going forward as well. Before I leave, just one quick word. You know, representing my industry, I cannot leave here without saying a quick word about climate change. As you know, climate change is one of the most defining challenges facing humankind today. And I think all of us need to come together in the most, in the most collective way possible to make sure that we ensure to leave behind a better planet for our children and their children in the future. I think in this regard, I would say I'm very proud to say that the renewable energy industry is now doing quite well. And we as a company are actually generating almost 1% now of India's total electricity production. And in that process, we're also mitigating almost 0.5% of India's total carbon emissions. And I think that's a contribution that I'm particularly very proud about. And I think all of us need to come together and make sure that we do collectively whatever is required to be done. And in that regard, I would say that I'm very heartened by the fact that our current government has taken a lot of very proactive steps to make sure that the sector does well. And we continue to hope that that will continue to happen going forward as well. So thanks a lot once again for this award. Thanks a lot, Economic Times and the jury as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. Thank you, Mr. Gadkari. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing the honors, sir. Thank you. Thank you and congratulations again. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next interactive session, we welcome Union Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, a politician who seldom gets her feathers ruffled. May I request Supriya Srinath, Executive Editor, ET Now, to host this session.
Let's review. Here's your mic. Thank you for that, Karan. And I wonder if you've set the tone for this discussion by ruffled feathers, so to say. But I will keep it with the economy. We'll start with that and then go into the realm that Ms. Sitharaman likes to talk about these days. First up, economy. I have 12 minutes. I promise I will finish this in 11. It won't be tough because she's a crisp talker, so I think we'll get going. 2019 elections, a lot has been done on the economic front. You've ushered in big reforms like the GST, IBC. Two questions there. Is election 2019 going to be about the economy? And has the agenda been hijacked with certain irrelevant, undesirable issues along the way?
Well, it will certainly be the economy and development. That's been the slogan even in 14. We'll now showcase what we've achieved, in a sense, not with a sense of, in a sense with pride, but more with a sense of responsibility, because I think what we've achieved is the first level of changes which we need to have. And also, because of the first level of changes that we've done, there are a lot more rigorous systemic changes which have to be done. But the first level of changes have definitely directly impacted the common man. And therefore, it's worth talking about it as an election agenda. And I don't know what you're referring to when you say a lot of irrelevant or not so necessary issues. I suppose in a democracy with multi-party kind of a feature, many issues which you want or do not want will be raised. But it's for us to make it relevant or not so relevant with our answers, and that's what we're going to be doing.
The reason why I asked this question is because I know this audience in this room here would wonder, how are you going to maneuver the economic landscape to 2019 when the political narrative itself is intensifying and heightening?
Well, the narrative related to economics is, I think, very well understood even by the common man. And when I say that, it's not just the insurance policies, it's not the reaching of the last village with electricity, it's not just talking about the demonetization and the purpose behind it, and it's also not talking about the way in which we are making sure that black money is being brought on upfront and also being accounted for, or penalties laid and so on. But I think fundamental changes for the economy, where you're looking at those kind of reforms which have to be given for the sake of the common people, housing, doubling of income for the farmers, ensuring that everyone gets some kind of access to financial inclusion. These are reforms which, in spite of being so heavily jargoned, common man understands that he's never had this opportunity earlier, he's having it now, and therefore is standing with the Prime Minister. This is something which will certainly be an issue on which we'll talk. And women in many of the states, some states did have a very progressive approach to bringing LPG into their kitchens. But many states did not. And the women very clearly come out saying, this is a great opportunity, we've had it. Otherwise, I was sitting in smoke inside the kitchen and preparing the food. These kind of fundamental things which have to reach the common man are being taken care of, but yet many of the fundamental systemic reforms are also happening. And that's where I think this will definitely form the core of what you're going to talk.
Fair point. Let's talk about an issue that I think this room would want to hear from you, and who better than you to ask this question. You had a very blemish-free record, and I think your worst critics will say that this government had a fantastic track record for the first 4 years. Has the Rafale controversy been a setback to that?
Absolutely not. In fact, I don't want to speak with a undue haste to tell the opposition they are chasing something which doesn't exist. 4.5 years without corruption, without even a whiff of it, or without even a whisper anywhere in the corridors. Particularly Ministry of Defense without middlemen. Particularly Ministry of Defense going at a good speed to procure things which are necessary for the armed forces. But no middlemen in the corridor. Decisions are taking place, but yet no corruption. So, for a party which has never had that kind of an approach for governance with transparency, they think they probably will definitely be lucky to get something sticking on to us. I'm sorry. Fundamental facts are before me, before everybody. I'm willing to answer. Everybody is willing to answer. We are answering in the parliament too. So it is chasing the holy grail. They're not going to get it.
But will you concede that this is no longer a controversy around defense acquisition? There's a political war on it, which has also spilled into the judicial arena. And is that worrisome?
I don't think it's a political war which is spilled onto the judiciary. It's good that people have referred it to the court. We are quite happy to state all the facts there, just as we are saying it outside. But yet, let it go to the judiciary, let the courts sit over it. We are comfortable to give the facts there. So we are all right with it. So I don't think it's a political battle falling into the arena of judiciary. If it's strictly political battle, I don't think they would have had the confidence. Even we would have had the confidence to face it in the courts. We are quite happy to face the courts.
So while I think your worst critics here will say that there is no concrete proof that they have leveled against you or the government so far as this deal is concerned just yet. But have they managed to make it controversial? And does the onus lie on you to prove it clean?
Well, being in the government, I think the onus certainly lies on us to prove it clean. But then the fact is, they are moving. If you notice the way in which the narrative on the Rafale procurement issue is going on, like, they start with one thing, then they move over to the second and a third. First it was, oh, you paid at least 5 times more than what we've paid. They've not paid anything at all. They've not bought one aircraft. Not just Rafale, not anything during their 10 years. But then next it was, did you give it to a particular company, the offset, with an intention, with a malified intention? Then that's also getting moved over. Now it's a question of, did the Prime Minister hurry with the procedure, which he did not really pay due respects to? So you're very clear that they started with one thing without doing their homework. They're moving on, hoping against hope that something will stick to us. There isn't anything wrong with the procedure, with the methodology, with the price, with the technical details, with the list of ammunitions. So they don't know how far they have to go on with it, hoping that it will stick on to us. But I'm sorry, no. In every one of these counts, we are clear it's all as per procedure.
If you can allow me to ask one more question on this, and the question is that I know your position and the government's position is, the onus is not on us to choose the offset partner. I'm not going to get into how, why. I think the political adversaries and you will do a better job of it. But if I may ask a question on a larger platform, at a larger level, why should the government not know who the offset partner is? I mean, this is, after all, India's defense procurement. This is, after all, going to be the first line of defense as far as Indian Air Force is concerned. I mean, what is wrong with the government knowing who the offset partner is? Has politics mired that debate?
Oh, no. I'm sorry, I think I'll have to explain this for you.
Sure, go ahead.
We are not saying we don't want to know. As per the rules, the original equipment manufacturer, in this case Dassault, has the business and the right, and they are the only ones to decide whether they want one offset partner or many, this offset partner or that. All that is in their hands. And once they've made up their mind and their contracts commercially are done, they will certainly have to tell the government. We are not saying we don't want to hear you. We are going to hear you. We need to hear you, because if you're going to claim that by rule what you're obligated to do, and what are they obligated to do? They have to spend that 30 to 50% of the price of the commodity that they're selling us, the components or whatever of Rafale, in the investment or buying of that product from the partner that they choose. So we need to know, because once they fulfill that obligation, we'll have to give them some credits for it. So we will have to know, we need to know as per rule, and there is time for it. Just because my opposition wants to know it yesterday, I can't put pressure on my OEM saying, oh my God, my opposition wants it now, give it to me now. By rule, they can tell me even next year. I'm waiting for it. Once I get to know, I'll tell you. But before that, why should I speculate based on the newspaper reports?
So you don't want to pre-screen? It's all right if you post-screen.
No, it's all right by rule for me.
Fair point. Absolutely. That is what I meant. I said the larger debate is, why should politics override that? But 2 quick last questions. We've got exactly 3 minutes left. And one of them is that you've been the Minister for Commerce and Industry, now Defense. Where is Make in India? A lot of these people should be making here. Why are they not making here? Not as much as you would want them to, perhaps.
They'll, I'm sure, come back to making in India a lot more than what they do now. But in defense, I'll tell you, Make in India is happening in a big way. And it's not happening without orders coming from the ministry. Under the strategic partnership, I've started giving orders for Make in India For, I don't want to name the companies, I can actually easily do, 2 of them have been given major orders for ATAGs. Towed guns, artillery guns are being made in India. We've given orders to them, all right? Similarly, there are many other orders which I can list now, which I couldn't have listed 2 years ago because the strategic partnership module itself was being worked out. Now I can tell you, Make in India for defense is being recognized because it's already happening, recognized, and due orders are being placed by the ministry for the Indian manufacturers.
I don't know about the rest of them here, but when I see you on an airstrip and when I see you in combat regions, I somehow feel very proud about this. I'm a feminist, and I'm a self-obsessed feminist as well. I feel extremely proud about this. Many people thought this was a core boys' club. How do you feel busting it?
No, actually, it's, I don't feel any bit having to over-assert myself. People in the forces are really quite professional about dealing with a woman Raksha Mantri. I've never had to say, oh, all right, I may be a woman, but deal with me. No. They've probably dealt with me as much as they deal with a male counterpart. So I've not had that issue at all. In fact,
you're
it
downplaying
suits me.
what many people thought was a rock star moment in India's feminist movement to have a first woman defense minister. But a quick last question. When do we see women in combat? I know Air Force has paved the way for 3 fighter pilots. Navy, when do we see them on warships? When in artillery? When in infantry?
Soon, I suppose, because we've already, after Prime Minister making that announcement in Red Fort about the Short Service Commission, women now getting an opportunity to become full permanent commissioned officers. We're also sooner thinking in terms of having the 3 forces open up institutions like the NDA, Royal, National Military Academy, and so on. So the process is on. Most of the areas have been opened up. You're right, just the sea-going jobs and also the borders.
That's right.
The combat at the border are areas in which I think we are going to take a bit longer.
Try us out, we'll be good. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being
Thank
with
you
us.
very
And
much.
Karan, I
Thank
save you
you.
3 seconds here.
Thank you, Supriya. And I would request Ms. Sitharaman to present the award for the Corporate Citizen of the Year, ma'am. The award goes to Hindustan Unilever. Soap, shampoo, and good work for society. Now that's some combination, ladies and gentlemen. Sanjeev Mehta, Chairman and Managing Director, HUL, will receive the award. Congratulations, Mr. Mehta. I would love for you to say a few words.
Namaste, good evening. I'm privileged to represent the thousands of men and women of Hindustan Unilever and would like to thank Economic Times and the jury for bestowing this award on us. This award is very special. It goes to the heart of a philosophy of doing well by doing good. In recent times, more wealth has been created than ever before. More people have been lifted from poverty than ever before. More benefits have been given to humankind than ever before. However, we are facing challenges that raises question over our economic model and a continued stewardship of our planet. It is rightly said that we have not inherited this planet from our children, but we have not inherited it from our forefathers, but we have borrowed it from our children. And sadly, we have the potentially calamitous honor of witnessing the birth of an era where it would be defined by man's irreversible impact on the planet. Our economic system, where a busload of people have more wealth than 3.5 billion people, is clearly not working for a large section of our people. The success and progress of Hindustan Unilever has been closely intertwined with the progress and growth of our country. The issues facing the world today are both economic and moral, and the cold reality is that we will not be able to have a flourishing business in a broken world. we at Unilever firmly believe that the business growth should not be at the expense of the people or the planet. The Unilever Sustainable Living Plan lays down a framework where we can grow our business while reducing our environmental footprint and increasing our positive social impact. The societal expectations from business are changing. It is based on a simple imperative that in a world where there is a trust deficit, responsible growth is the only model that will succeed. To my fellow business leaders, I will end by quoting from Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, who said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that when the Statue of Liberty was constructed on the East Coast, it should have been supplemented by the Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta, and thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Minister. Thank you very much for doing the honors, and congratulations again. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our next high-impact chat is with Piyush Goyal, the minister responsible for two things that have produced many Bollywood hits, Rail Gaadi and Kala Patthar. May I request Sri Ram Ramakrishnan, Associate Editor, The Economic Times, to join us on stage and host a session with the Minister for Railways and Coal. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Goyal.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the awards. Mr. Goyal, if I could just start off, right, your big responsibility, which you took charge about 1.5 to 2 years ago, which is railways, and the massive changes that have been announced or that are ongoing, especially on the capex front, where there are big capex plans going, and railways can really be a game changer and a big engine for the economy. There are also one or two concerns, especially about railways' financial viability, you know, the need to increase fares, the need to maintain that you have a sound bottom line, and service quality, where there are some constant complaints about punctuality and things like that. So if you could probably brief us a little bit on where is the big things that railways is doing to make India move ahead and achieve a faster and higher growth.
Thank you, Sriram. I think a 160-year legacy that we inherited in 2014 had a lot of broken elements to it. While one cannot deny, and as Karan rightly said, it's been part of folklore, it's been a part of India's rich heritage. And I personally have very fond memories of my own travels in the railways as a young child, maybe going on the Rajdhani, enjoying the cutlets and toast with tea in a thermos. I think over the years we let this very vital element of the economy deteriorate, and it deteriorated very rapidly. When I look at the last 20-25-year history, I find that we never planned for the railways with a holistic vision in the long run. So there was a time we had a very celebrated railway minister. But when we look back today and find what he did, we realize that he overloaded every train wagon carrying freight. In the short run, gave us very high returns on our freight movement, but completely messed up the entire track system. Over the years, we've never had any significant capex in the railways to bring in modern technology, to remain contemporary in terms of passenger services, amenities, expanding the network. But I believe Prime Minister Modi is very focused on infrastructure. You heard Mr. Gadkari and the pace at which he's been able to build up the roadways. In a similar fashion, the railways have seen a 2.5x investment in the railway infrastructure in these 4.5 years compared to the last 5 years. And I think what we are planning to do and what we are working on is speed of action. We are looking at expanding into newer areas hitherto unserved. We are very focused on safety. So you'll see the accidents have come down significantly. And please don't blame the Amritsar tragedy on me. I mean, if you can't walk onto a track and then tell the railways you're responsible for trespassing. And I think this focus on safety, this focus on trying to turn around passenger services to better quality, the focus to try and expand freight in an organized fashion. So let me give you a simple example. We had unmanned level crossings. It's been there for years. I remember in the first week of April, I asked them, how many unmanned level crossings do we have? It was about 3,479. I said, let's eliminate them in 6 months. And they were aghast at the idea. Because traditionally, we never did more than 1,000 or 1,100, at best 1,200 in a year. I said 6 months and we should be free of unmanned level crossings. Now, it's a question of challenging somebody's capabilities. And I personally believe when you give them extraordinary targets, they can do it. And in 6 months, by 30th September, they had eliminated 3,400 of those 3,479. And I think another 30, 40 days, we'd be free of unmanned level crossings across the Indian railways in the broad gauge. So you can have phenomenal results coming in. The people are committed, the people are competent, but we never empowered them to think big, to have ambitions to provide world-class services. I remember when the Rajdhani was introduced in 1969, the then Railway Board had opposed it, just like some politicians are opposing the bullet train today. But I think our effort is, let's get the best in the world to come to India. Let's have all of them being made in India, as Ms. Sitharaman was just saying. And let's make the entire railway experience world-class for the passengers of India, for the businessmen of India.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal. You also have another big responsibility, which is the Ministry of Coal. And in your first stint, with the first couple of years, you started off with a very big bang. Coal production jumped up. Later on, there has been a fair bit of disappointing news on the coal front. And I'm sure a lot of people here in India Inc. would love to know as to what is it that you're doing to speed up coal production so that the power plants have more stocks.
Just to set the context right, the two big figures that are often talked about, even this year, current year, India is importing less coal than we imported in our first year in office, which was a legacy of their past. So in 14-15, India imported about 210 million tons of coal. This year, we will not exceed 210 million tons. So that's area one.
Right.
Area two, coking coal, we don't have enough in India. We import about 50 million tons of coking coal. We have some coking coal reserves in Raniganj and Jharia, which are under fire for the last 40, 50, some say 100 years.
Right.
So there we have a problem where we'll need to necessarily import. We also have a large number of power plants. ILFS has a power plant in Tamil Nadu.
Right.
It's been designed for imported coal. Even if I give him coal from Coal India, he cannot use it over there. That's the weakness of the previous government, that they insisted that you design your power plant on imported coal, then we'll allow you environmental permission to set it up.
Right.
They never imagined the country could have 10% growth of coal production, which we have this year, for example, in the first half.
Right.
Currently, as we speak, we had about 9.5% growth in coal production as of today, as of yesterday, in coal production. This has never happened before.
Right.
As regards the shortage, there were a series of events which came in between. We had a situation where on 1st April 2017, the stock at the coal pits, at the pit head, was about 67 million tons. My officers refused to produce anymore. They said, we can't stock it. There'll be fires all over.
Right.
The power plants were not lifting coal because they thought whenever we want it, we'll get it. And then in the monsoon, there was this stress of power. The requirements shot up. Coal production cannot keep pace in the monsoon. The stocks dwindled. And then we've had a legacy for the last 16, 18 months, which has been a little stretch since July of 17 till now. But I think the things are turning. Currently, stocks are again on the upswing.
Right.
Imports also in between looked a little stretched because the Adani, Tatas and SR plants were almost shut down because of the Supreme Court verdict.
Right.
Because of which those plants were not importing coal, and therefore companies in the interiors of India had to import coal. So there were very specific issues.
Right.
But I'm glad that things are sorting themselves out.
So the situation is going to improve, you're saying?
I don't see any problem in that.
You don't see any
As
problem?
I said, we will be importing less coal than we did 4 years ago. And the quality of Indian coal today has never been so good. which any of the power producers, and I see many of them sitting in this room,
Right.
can confirm.
Right. We are rapidly running out of time, so I'll just have time to ask you one more last question, and this is relating to what your colleague, cabinet colleague, Transport Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari said about banks not funding infrastructure and road projects. And of course, the February 12th circular by RBI. I know you have strong views on this. You were a power minister as well.
So I think it's best I keep my mouth zipped. All my friends here, probably half of them know my views about it.
Right.
But let me not give you some headlines for your next day's edition.
But do you think the power situation, the coal situation and the power situation will sort itself out? Now you have, the stressed power
Well, this
plants
government will certainly solve all this situation out. We won't allow any of the situation to go out of control. The government stands committed to that.
Right. And you will go ahead with it even irrespective of what RBI does or not?
I didn't say that. But the government will ensure, come what may, what it takes, we will ensure that none of our industries, none of our people who are creating infrastructure, none of the people who have invested in India will get a raw deal.
Right. One more question, Mr. Goyal, and this is relating not to coal or to power or to railways, but this is relating to the political situation in India right now. You have important assembly elections coming up, and then the general election next year, and the feeling, the perception at least, whether it's correct or not, I'm not going to say, but the feeling, the perception is that the government is on the back foot. What is your reading of the situation?
I can give you one data point,
Sure.
which is readily available with me. In 2013, in August, September, I had carried out a nationwide survey, not as the BJP, but through an independent third party used to do it for media houses. At that time, this was the world's largest physical survey, 230,000 respondents.
Right.
And in which I had predicted in September, October of or November of 2013 that we will get an absolute majority, the BJP by itself.
The BJP by itself.
This time around, my surveys started again the same time, August, September. We have expanded the scope of the survey across the length and breadth of the country. We did 540,000 respondents.
Right.
I think it's unheard of anywhere in the world that 540,000 people selected randomly through the computer have been asked over a 30-minute physical interview on tablet
Right.
and reported straight into the system
Right.
to ensure its sanctity. What they believe about the government and various questions, inflation, economy, the situation about their business, situation about the political scene, who they will vote for. I'm happy to at least share the headline number that came out.
Right.
The BJP looks to be between 297 and 303 seats by itself in the 2019
297 to 303, that's very, very precise.
297 to 303 by ourselves, the BJP will get in the 2019 Lok Sabha.
2019 Lok Sabha elections, you're saying 297 to 303. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's for you, the coal and the railways minister and the BJP leader making this prediction. Probably there are some clues in this about what may happen in the Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh elections, but that I leave for you to decide and discuss. Thank you, Mr. Goyal. It's been a great pleasure speaking to you. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sriram. I would like to request Mr. Goyal to present the award for the Global Indian of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we have all opened PDF files on our mobiles, and so we all have to thank the man who runs the company that makes the software to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shantanu Narayan, CEO, Adobe Systems.
From what I gather, I think keeping my speech succinct is also another prerequisite to actually finally walking away with that award. Thank you, Honorable Minister Goyal. Thank you, members of the jury, and to the Economic Times for this incredible honor. Growing up in Hyderabad, my goal actually was to be a journalist. And one of the early highlights in my career was actually when I was selected by the Economic Times to be the editor for a day. the paper that I edited, and a picture of the all-nighter, something that I actually never did in school, still hangs in my study at home. The Economic Times clearly plays such an important role in being a global brand ambassador, as well as an advocate for Adobe Inc., and your contributions to the economic vibrancy of India is truly appreciated. As a global Indian, global was a term growing up that really embodied to me both ambition and aspiration. And I'm really proud to be part of a company, Adobe, that embodies both of that. Through products like Photoshop and PDF, we have changed the world of communication. And it's a matter of intense pride that everywhere you look, every piece of content, mobile applications, websites, newspapers, magazines, and hopefully the films that you do, Karan, are all touched by some piece of Adobe software. I'm really thankful to the innovation and creativity of our global workforce and our employees in India who have played a significant role in our success over the last decade. While Adobe's global mission represents the what, the how for me is uniquely shaped by my upbringing and the Indian in me. A focus on the bigger prize and the long term, and the learnings that I've gleaned from the business titans, including those here today, our culture and our scriptures. When I took over as CEO in 2009, the global recession hit, and we were convinced that a crisis was a terrible thing to waste. We were the first company to transform ourselves completely from a desktop model to a subscription model, and we embarked on the journey to also be the first company to create an entire digital marketing category. I think this long-term focus enabled us to continuously deliver customer innovation and add over 100 billion in market cap to our shareholders. We all are where we come from, and India helped shape who I am as a leader. In addition to thanking our Adobe employees who have made these accomplishments possible, I'd certainly like to add a few personal thank yous to my wife, Rennie, who has been my partner through my entire professional journey, my sons, Shravan and Arjun, and my family and friends, including my sisters who are here tonight. As a result of traveling here tonight, I actually got to spend time with my ailing parents in Hyderabad, the two individuals to whom I owe the highest amount of debt of gratitude and thanks. My parents have been my worst critics when I don't put my best foot forward, my biggest cheerleaders when I take on challenges, and my biggest fans as it relates to the potential that they believe in me. Thank you, Dad and Mom, since all this is a result of what you have done for me. They're 88 and 83. And thank you again to the Economic Times for this incredible honor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Narayan. Thank you, Mr. Goyal. Thank you for doing the honors. Yes, of course.
Last coffee with Karan, you can get onto the PDF file which gives out, and don't miss the shoes that Karan is wearing.
Thank you for noticing that, sir. And thank you, Mr. Narayan. And thank you for looking at me when you said Photoshop. How do you know? Congratulations, sir. Thank you for all your achievements. A big thank you to all the ministers for these discussions. And now, I request N. Venkatram, CEO, Deloitte India, to come to the stage and address this distinguished audience.
Good evening. We live in an age in which machines teach themselves to learn. Autonomous vehicles communicate with each other and their surroundings and infrastructure, and smart devices respond to and anticipate consumer needs. Emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, Internet of Things, and the distributed ledger technology are creating new ways for customers to interact and are disrupting our traditional business models. Many of our winners, who we will celebrate here today, have successfully leveraged technology to transform their businesses. These advancements are creating a sea change in today's regulatory environment, and regulatory challenge is a subject that I would like to touch on briefly. The first issue is that modern innovations can scale very big and very fast. This creates what we call the pacing problem. How can regulators keep up with developments that scale businesses rapidly and disrupt business models. One approach that we have seen is to allow innovation to be carried out collaboratively between the users and the regulators without amending existing regulation. For example, in the UK energy business, an innovator offered a blockchain trading platform in a sandbox that encouraged residents to source power from renewable energy platforms, producers. This power could then be traded between neighbors so that they could save on both their power consumption as well as power cost. The second issue that arises is which regulator will have oversight, as technology often transcends the traditional industry boundaries. If of a self-driving car were to crash, who is liable? Is it the software producer? Is it the automobile owner? Or is it the occupant of the car himself? Another emerging and interesting area is software as a medical device. Current regulatory practices emphasize vetting of products before they're released. But a software developer can make continuing changes to a product, such as stents even remotely, even after they're released and implanted. The third and a very important area is data privacy and ownership. The vast use of smartphones, connected devices, and sensors have created a digital footprint which will continue to accelerate. Can a car manufacturer, to labor on the point of cars, charge a higher price to a buyer who refuses to share private data? Would the data collected be owned by the user, such as, say, the insurance company, or by the service provider who owns it? On a lighter note, new age technologies have also resulted in some very interesting applications. I recently learned that a US agency uses data from Twitter posts, gathering reports on food poisoning, to create a list of high priority locations where inspections should be made, rather than to rely on the traditional periodic inspection of restaurants. Closer to home, some of us know that Facebook information has been used to zero in on cases of insider trading. To close, we need a collaborative strategy to ensure that lawmakers across the world are consistent in their frameworks and supervision. A recent global financial sector study conducted by IFAC and OECD this year conservatively estimates the cost of regulatory divergence on global financial services to be about $780 million. With the advancement of technology, I would believe that this number would only increase unless the issue is addressed with a certain sense of urgency. I therefore leave you with the final thought that smart regulation is a critical analyst to the ease of doing business and smart governance. We need to collaborate and make much more progress in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venkatram. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give us a few minutes as we put a few chairs on the stage. Chairs, as we know, are very, very important, as more than a few chairmen of boards present in this distinguished audience will know. And let me tell you, in Bollywood, no one has more fun than the guy in the director's chair. He gets to say cut far more often than the RBI governor has said about interest rates these past few months. I, of course, have my own views, by the way, on the RBI, but I'm not going to share those with you because, frankly, there have been too many views on RBI already. I'm sure everyone in this audience has a view on our central bank, but I've been thinking, should I make a movie on RBI? I mean, it's been so dramatic, hasn't it? Totally. And of course, the first thing you do when you think of a movie is you think of a movie title. And the second thing, of course, you do is pick your cast. Now, Urjit Patel is the RBI governor, and so the center, and of course, is at the center of all the drama. So let's call the movie Sardar Patel. Confuse everyone, create a controversy. It's all very good for the box office, as we've seen recently. Who's going to play Urjit Patel? Well, obviously, since it's my movie, it has to be SRK. Saif played a stock market cool cat. Shah Rukh has to do this one better. While I've been bantering things just to make sure that the chairs are in place, they are in place. The stage is all set. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Times Group Managing Director Vineet Jain to join us back on stage. May I also request Coal and Power Minister Piyush Goyal, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, and Vice President Venkaiah Naidu to join us on stage. The Vice President, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin, Mr. Jaitley, sir, I filed all my income tax returns. I just thought I'd let you know that. And Mr. Vice President, I'm sure you will find this gathering relaxing after trying to manage the Rajya Sabha. I'm sure it's going to be more relaxing for you. The Finance Minister, ladies and gentlemen, will now give this evening's keynote address.
The Honorable Vice President of India, Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu, my friend and colleague, Shri Piyush Goyal, Shri Vineet Jain, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, it's always a pleasure to be here for the last few years as a part of the ET Awards. In fact, not only have the ET Awards over the last few years become a prime recognition for the performers in our industry, but it also gives us an important opportunity through the course of the discussion and the discourse that takes place to review where we stand and how do we move ahead. Five years in a running, I've had an opportunity to be here. And I can assure you that there is no easy day in the life of a finance minister. Because something happens in any part of the world being integrated, it has its footfalls and impacts in India. If any economy is on the verge of a serious challenge or a collapse, somewhere else the devaluation takes place, somewhere else the currency hardens, we always feel the impact. And there are areas which are obviously beyond your management and control. But then one of the opportunities before you is really to restore the strength of India and its economy. And once you are able to do that, your ability to fight and face these uneven global trends also increases. And I think one of the great challenges that we had in the last 4.5 years was, how do we get out of a situation where our credibility as a nation and the credibility of the economy was at stake? Our ability to take decisions was being seriously doubted by the world. The integrity of our decision-making process had been put into question. We were carrying the onerous label of being a part of the fragile five. This was 2013, just 5 years ago. And therefore, I think if I put it in one sentence, is the credibility of the economy which had to be restored. And of course, Indian economy has, and India as a nation has a lot of resilience and obviously a lot of potential. Decisions had to be taken and not postponed. Leadership is the art of taking decisions and not postponing them merely because there is no consensus, because you'll always have some objector somewhere. And that's the path we followed. And as a result of which, we had to carry out a series of reforms, and we are living in a different world. There was a world some decade ago where the global economy was booming. Economies like China had grown for almost 3 decades at a 9% growth rate. The world was moving fast, and with the advantage of all those tailwinds, we also acquired a respectable level of growth. But the strength of an economy is when there is adversity, how do you stand up? And post-2008, certainly after the meltdown, there was an adversity. You can't merely hide that adversity by saying that I artificially managed a growth which was entirely debt-based, because that itself has its own consequences, and we are paying for those consequences today. And therefore, we had the challenge that we had to restart the whole process of reforms, which had taken almost a backseat. I need not repeat any one of them because we've carried them on, we've spoken about it at length. But one of the great advantages, and I want you to see it as a silver lining, is that whatever we got as a benefit of having growth at a reasonable level, and when people like Karan Johar also started saying that I proudly pay my taxes, because his industry once upon a time was fairly notorious for not doing so. When the character changed, and now it probably became an example for the others. So whether it was people in real estate, it was people in the financial markets, it was people in the gold and jewelry business, people in educational institutions, which also liked to carry on their businesses in parallel economy. Each one of the steps that we took has certainly helped in formalization of the economy. And one figure which will always remain in my mind is, when this government finishes its present 5-year term, we would have almost in 5 years doubled the entire assessee base in direct tax. The first year of the GST helped us to increase the number of assessees by 74%. The result was more taxes, and we could bring down the taxation in relation to almost 334 commodities in the first 12 to 13 months. So what used to be theoretically spoken about, lower the taxes, don't increase them, but improve the base, wasn't merely confined to post-budget discussions on television. This was actually happening. And this money got used certainly for infrastructure. My colleague Nitin Gadkari was here. He inherited a sector where nobody was left to bid. And he has the credit of converting it into literally a booming sector. And where did the rest of the resources go? If you look at what's happening in the world where some of us don't know, out of the 700,000 villages, you are almost in the last phase of connecting every village by a regular road. What we spend there has gone up by 3 times. Every village today stands electrified. There are 4 crore homes where people can't afford to pay their bills. So they've been given the electricity at government expense, which will all be completed by the 31st of this year. When the Prime Minister announced the Swachh Bharat, it looked like a slogan at that time. In the rural areas, it became a women's movement. And the women's movement was that what was 39% rural sanitation in 2014 is today 92%. I have never seen such an astonishing data of a government scheme. Because we were spending the money, we were subsidizing them for the toilets, we were bringing a behavioral change in them. Getting women to switch over their cooking methods from coal and wood. We thought, can we tackle 5 crore homes? We had to revise the target. We've crossed 6 crore. We'll probably be completing early next year, in this financial year, 8 crore homes. And 8 crore homes almost means something close to 30% of India, the lower strata of society. And all this has happened, so larger infrastructure construction. The food subsidy itself is a phenomenal 1,62,000 crores. And while doing this, we were able to keep fiscal prudence in place. It's no longer 6% or 5.6 or 4.6, which it used to be about 5-6 years ago. It's now gradually coming down. And we see a glide downwards. And we are reasonably confident of facing it. Having said this, what do I see as the challenges before us? And I think that's more important. The first challenge, obviously, is the oil prices. And the oil prices today is something where I have started depending more on astrologers than on the traditional commentators. Because when the President of the United States or the Energy Minister of Saudi Arabia makes a statement, you think that the world may move in one direction, the prices will move in one direction, but they exactly move in the opposite direction. So even when they don't count, it's very difficult for me to predict. And there is no straight line. And it is here that we have to really plan out that not moving in a straight line, being linked to the market where users have to pay, they will move up on a daily basis, they will move down. Today the movement is downwards. And therefore we have to create that sense of maturity amongst our people. And I think this is where Mr. Vineet Jain also has a role to play. Because if we start getting hysterical on the media, every time there is an increase because of the global hike, then we are not realizing that what will be the consequence if we start following what the media starts suggesting. And the impact of that is, take a hit, suffer a fiscal deficit. Current account deficit will already be in a problem because of rising oil prices. So please push India into a double deficit situation and lose the advantage of a fiscally prudent economy that you have. And that will give rise to inflation, that will give rise to disturbing the rupee values. And therefore, those who anchor programs and write editorials must realize that this is a situation where this country has to deal with a sense of maturity, because they'll move up, they'll move down. And of course, if the economy is strong, its ability to... I am personally one of those people who believe that taxes on oil must eventually come down in India. But how do they come down? There is only one way that they can come down, not by creating a fiscal deficit and then having a consequential impact on inflation, on rupee valuations, and allowing the economy to collapse. The non-oil tax to GDP ratio in this country has to increase. So once the non-oil tax to GDP ratio increases, the dependence on oil taxation comes down. From 2007 onwards, the tax GDP ratio didn't increase. But in the last 4 years, it's increased by about 1%. And that 1% is a large difference. And out of that 1%, almost 0.5 is the non-oil taxes, which by increasing the base we have increased. So if you, over the next 5 to 7 years, are able to have another 1.5% increase in the non-oil tax to GDP ratio, the country's ability to rationalize the taxes on oil will certainly come down. And therefore, the more people pay their direct taxes honestly, the more they pay their indirect taxes honestly, the dependence of the economic system on the oil taxes itself then comes down. That's really, in a nutshell, and this is no rocket science, this is pure common sense to that effect. But notwithstanding that, I think if we keep in place our other fiscal targets, which I'm sure we'll be able to keep, our ability certainly to face this uneven situation globally will certainly be much better. A stronger economy can face this, a fragile economy can't face this. Then, of course, is the second question of how does the hardening of the dollar, the US interest rates going up? These are not permanent situations. These are transient situations. This will have some impact on us. This will enable the currency to acquire its real value. And at the end of the day, as the situation moves on, India will have to learn to live in this changed situation itself. These are both really external challenges. Trade war hasn't really impacted us so much, may in the long run open an opportunity for us. And therefore, that's not an issue of much great concern. It may have some transient and temporary impacts on our markets. Banking, certainly. That's a domestic issue. And banking being a domestic issue, it certainly has an impact as far as Indian economy is concerned. And I think it's extremely important for us to realize what really is the problem. And again, it can be explained in language which is far simpler to understand. We witnessed a situation, particularly after the slowdown, after the Lehman Brothers episode, where there was a tendency to keep the growth moving on the strength of additional debt which was being given by the banks. The public sector banks particularly took a big hit in that. And therefore, 2008 to 14 is a chapter in the life of public sector banks. We can't wish it away, but we must learn the lesson from this so that it never gets repeated. I remember when I speak of this period, the famous line from the couplet, "Lamo ne khata ki, sadiyon ne saza pai." So we are paying, the system is being punished today for those deeds of 2008 to 2014. At that stage, all check-in mechanisms, regulatory mechanisms, weren't working. In fact, the opposite was happening. When we came into power in May 2014, and you were very new at it, we were told that the total NPAs are 2.5 lakh crores. The asset review revealed that everything was hidden below the carpet. It was actually 8.5 lakh crores. So you'd thrown open the doors of the banks that anybody can take any amount. The asset quality review showed that you were almost, your disclosures were not transparent, not honorable. And then, with literally 2014 as the cutoff line, we now got into an age of prudent banking. But we must remember when we do that we have to restore the health of the banks. I am not very certain whether all the other programs which were tried for this within the banking system and the regulatory system really worked. IBC seems to be the first one which is working. And the initial results seem to be positive. The law is now being laid down. Hopefully, when that phase in another couple of months is completed, the backlog of cases pending itself would get resolved. And the net impact of this is that today, if we want our growth to further improve, I have not the least doubt in my mind that the position we've acquired of the fastest growing larger economy in the world, irrespective of global trends, because there is so much of activity happening on the ground. It's happening in infrastructure, it's happening in services, industry, it's happening in rural India. Our ability to maintain that level of growth is certainly there, and we'll retain this pivotal position in the world. But if we are to increase this and improve upon this, we need a certain level of credit flow as far as our entrepreneurs are concerned. Even if the overall situation on credit improves, we have to see that there is no sectoral stress. We have to ensure that liquidity is maintained. And therefore, as a reaction to what the sins of 2008 to 14, which were collectively committed, as somebody had said, centuries need not suffer. Sadiyon ne khata pai, sada pai. And therefore, this will have to be done in a manner where you restore the health of the banks, you restore the discipline as far as the banking system is concerned, and at the same time, we don't end up throttling growth by throttling credit and liquidity in the market. And that is a key issue. Any other issue can be an issue of diversion. But unless an adequate answer comes within this issue, and on this issue, I think we will be looking for the wrong solutions to a problem where easier solutions are available. Having said this, there are, I wouldn't seriously call them challenges, political stability, the quality of political discourse, particularly on economic issues, the manner in which India is going to be governed in the future years. And I think these are all issues which have a direct relevance in the life of a nation to what our economic roadmap is ahead. There are various political and adventurous combinations that we have tried. What is being attempted today is perhaps more disastrous than any adventurism of the past. It's a coalition of rivals. Can the world's fastest moving economy, can the world's largest democracy ever be governed by a coalition of rivals. And a coalition of rivals doesn't work. We've seen that. We've experimented these kind of coalitions and the country paid a heavy price. Their longevity itself in question. It's a flawed formula. And it functions with combinations where the level of understanding of some of those issues is extremely weak. So you have almost an adventurist approach to some of those issues. And the adventurist approach is if somebody really believes that an account being declared as an NPA is a waiver of a loan. Now, this can't be policy formulation, if that's the level of understanding. Many state parties, I see the reality of regional parties in India, but the nucleus has to be somebody with a strong national approach with a large political base, not with a minuscule political base. Somebody has yesterday declared his sovereignty in the matter of corruption by saying that I won't allow the investigative agencies to enter. This is governance adventurism at its worst. Whether today it may suit you to become a Sarathi of your traditional political rival, but then this is a combination which never works. And therefore, our experience of the past, when did we have coherent economic policies? When you had strong leadership. When the natural leader of the country was the natural leader of the government, at least he had to be a natural leader of the party. And that was one of the flaws in the governance model of 2004 to 14. And therefore, the kind of adventurism with a combination of rivals which is being attempted is a certain recipe for a disaster. And I am quite certain that the analysts in New Delhi, my experience of the last few elections have been that the electorate even belies our expectations. We were not giving ourselves an absolute majority last time. And therefore, people have realized that for the purposes of governance in India, you need a political structure which is coherent, where the path is clear and you don't take contradictory paths at the same time as the path to growth. And you are in a position to have a government with a coherent policy, a coherent political party or a combination with a strong nucleus, and not something which inherently has a weak nucleus, and therefore its longevity itself won't be there. So if we look at the world situation today, I think it's a great opportunity for India. And the great opportunity for India is that it's the first time in history where we are moving ahead of many other much larger economies in terms of our pace and have a capacity to overtake a number of them. We still have the onerous responsibility of pulling out millions of people out of poverty. We need a high level of sustained growth for the next 2 decades at least to acquire that. And therefore, as a responsible, aspirational society where aspirational of the people have built up, I think governments now owe to the people to maintain that growth rate and get them a better quality of life. And I'm reasonably certain that aspirational societies never prefer suicide as a future course of action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jaitley, for those insightful observations. I promise to continue paying my taxes. I now request the Vice President and the Finance Minister to present the rest of the awards this evening. The award, ladies and gentlemen, for Emerging Company of the Year goes to Page Industries, the company that sells jockey to Indians. In some ways, Page Industries knows our innermost feelings. Managing Director Sundar Janamal will receive the award. Congratulations, sir, and would love for you to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Economic Times, for this wonderful recognition. Being from the Philippines, where our parents migrated in after the partition, it was always a dream for our family to be able to start a business in the country of our origin. And this dream became a reality in 1994 when we formed Page Industries. It was 23 years ago that I stood on this very stage to launch the jockey brand in India. And today, to be standing on the same stage, to be receiving this prestigious award from such an iconic institution like Economic Times, in the presence of the Honorable Vice President, the Honorable Finance Minister, and the Honorable Railways Minister, it just feels like a fairy tale. It's been a very exciting and enjoyable journey. And I have to say that throughout this journey, I have been blessed to have an amazing team, amazing talent, commitment, dedication, but more importantly, amazing spirit, passion, and heart. And with this team, I know for sure that the best of Page Industries is yet to come. And so I thank the Economic Times for recognizing this and awarding us the Emerging Company of the Year, which I proudly accept on behalf of each and every one of my 20,000 team members. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations. Thank you for holding it together. The award for Policy Change Agent of the Year goes to National Payments Corporation of India. Ladies and gentlemen, if you buy DVDs of my movies, and you should, NPCI will make sure that I get the money. That's how important it is. Chairman Biswamohan Mahapatra, Managing Director and CEO Dilip Asbe will receive the award.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful to ET for giving us this award. This company is 10 years old, National Payments Corporation of India. It strives to touch the life of every Indian. Whether you have a feature phone or a smartphone, whether you have a debit card or a credit card or no card, whether you write a check or you receive a check, probably NPCI touches your life at every moment. This 10 years old company was set up with a vision of a few promoter banks. They had the vision to set up this company as a not-for-profit company so that the profit remains within the company for further growth and future growth. And we are grateful to those promoter banks and shareholder banks, which is led by an extremely professional board and 1,000+ employees. Dilip is employee number 1 of this company. I'll now leave to Dilip to complete.
I'll just add one thing, is last 10 weeks, we have processed 1 billion transactions on Bhim UPI, right? So it's a milestone. We have set up the payments looking at West. I think now, with Bhim UPI and the payment systems we are setting up, the West is looking at East, right? Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support from the banks, fintechs, and payment system providers to scale in NPCI systems. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs, and congratulations once again. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Business Reform of the Year is the Chief Minister of India's youngest state, Telangana. Kalvakuntala Chandrasekhar Rao, better known as KCR. Since he could not be with us tonight, KT Ramarao, KCR's son, and Telangana Industries and IT Minister will receive the award on behalf of the Chief Minister. Congratulations. I'm sure you have a message from your father.
Good evening. I saw winner after winner leaving the award out there. I didn't really understand it was so heavy, but now I do. Thank you, His Excellency the Vice President. Thank you to the Finance Minister. Thanks to the Railway Minister as well. And most importantly, I'd like to thank the jury, which shows our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, for this wonderful award, the Business Reformer of the Year. We are the youngest state in India. I represent Telangana, and I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the jury on behalf of our Chief Minister, because we believe that this award is not just to an individual, but the entire state, the 4 crore people of our state. So accept this award on behalf of the people. And one quick thing I'd like to point out, because I'm sure I wouldn't get such an august gathering every so often. Let me just quickly point out the reason why Telangana has been chosen as the business reformer, our Chief Minister has been chosen as the Business Reformer of the Year, is because he's brought in some revolutionary reforms on the way we do business by statute. In fact, we've brought in legislation called TS iPass, which allows for entrepreneurs and enterprises to self-certify themselves. For example, if you had to establish a new factory or set up a new enterprise in Telangana, you could self-certify yourself as being in compliance with the law of the land and hit the ground running. So you don't need a clearance from the government at all to start an enterprise in Telangana. And we also have brought in deemed approvals. We promise all clearances in 15 days in Telangana, 15 days flat. If we don't deliver on the 15-day promise, by statute, on the 16th day, it's a deemed approval. No other state will tell you this. And the last thing, which I believe is the icing on the cake, thank you. The last thing. In Telangana, in fact, if we don't deliver on the 15-day promise, from the 16th day, in fact, we are liable for penal action. You could sue us and you could take us to a court of law. And more importantly, even our bureaucrats are not exempt from getting a penalty levied of 1,000 rupees per day. No other state in India, including Maharashtra or Gujarat, will tell you this. So, make in India, make in Telangana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, and more power to you. Congratulations. All right, it's time for a quick quiz. Now, which bank this year never made big headlines? Never made big headlines. Well, HDFC Bank, because it was busy making great bottom lines. Unsurprisingly, HDFC Bank is our company of the year, and Aditya Puri, Managing Director, will receive the award, ladies and gentlemen.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I humbly accept this award on behalf of all my colleagues at HDFC Bank. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Times Group, members of the jury, our well-wishing customers, friends, but most of all God, because we need Him to bless us during these terminal times with all the blessings that we're getting from everybody and His brother. I'd like to conclude with wishing all of you a very happy and prosperous New Year, because in your prosperity lies our prosperity. And I'd like to confirm to Ministers Jaitley and Gadkari that we believe India has a great future, and all of us at HDFC Bank are committed and excited to play our part in making this happen. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, sir. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Puri. And may the force always be with you. All right, I have another question. What's the best way to watch a movie of mine or anyone else's on a the answer is on a very big high-tech TV. And what's the best way to get that TV? Through a Bajaj FinServe scheme, of course. Sanjeev Bajaj, Managing Director, Bajaj FinServe, is deservedly then the Business Leader of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Sanjeev. Would love for you to say a few words.
Thank you, Honorable Vice President, Arun ji, Piyush ji, jury, ET. The last 10 years has been a tremendous journey for us at Bajaj FinServe, from issuing a few 100,000 loans a year to this year where we should do almost 40 million loans and insurance policies, mostly to consumers and SME customers. Of these, nearly 8 million individuals will enter the formal financial credit system for the first time this year, getting the first formal loan from us. And that's the opportunity that this country provides. Also, in this age of startups, my team and I have been happy to demonstrate that you can restart existing traditional businesses and not only restart them, but transform them to lead in this digital era. And this journey, I've been supported by over 40,000 colleagues of mine across Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Allianz Life and General Insurance, ably led by Rajiv, Tapan and Tarun, and some of them are over here. This award belongs to all of them. My father, who's over here, and my uncle Nanu, their continued support, without that this would not have been possible. My wife Shifali is over here, and so are my kids, Sanjali, Siddhant, and the larger family. Instead, there are so many members over here from the larger family and some very close friends from Pune. Thank you, all of them. Though I have this nasty suspicion that many of them just came here to make sure I'm actually getting the award. So thank you, E.T. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sanjeev. And you definitely have got the award. You'd like to take your award with you. Oh, he's gone backstage. All right, okay. All right, congratulations again, Sanjeev. And personally, I'm extremely honored, privileged, and completely excited for the next award, ladies and gentlemen. Our next award goes to a gentleman for whom the phrase grand old man may have been invented. The ever dapper, the evergreen Adi Godrej. A doyen of Indian business is this year's recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations, sir, and we can't wait to hear you.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Finance Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, Cabinet Minister, Vineet Jain, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to express my gratitude to the Economic Times and the jury for conferring this recognition upon me. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my late wife and my 3 children, Tanya, Nisa, and Pirosha, and the rest of my family who's involved in the business. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our 1.15 billion consumers the world over who have helped take our group to the position it is in today. Thank you, Economic Times, once again, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you, Mr. Godrej. Thank you. Truly a powerful man, and what tremendous achievement. Give it up again for Mr. Adi Godrej, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the Vice President, and it bears mention here that here's a public figure whose career has been as impressive as the famous lunches he hosts in Delhi. Mr. Naidu, the stage is all yours.
माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री अर्ध मंत्रालय श्री अरुण जेटली जी, माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री खुलासा आणि रेल्वे मंत्रालय श्री पीयूष गोयल जी, टाइम्स ग्रुपेच्या व्यवस्थापकीय संचालक श्री विनीत जैन जी, and my dear brothers and sisters, Sarvana Namaskar. Friends, I have made it a point wherever I go, I will speak first few words in the mother tongue of that state, because I feel that we all should preserve, promote, propagate our mother tongues, because you will be able to preserve your culture to your mother tongue. That's why where I am going, I am making it a point to stress upon 5 things. Of course, mother tongue is one. Secondly, I am delighted to be here with all of you for another edition of the Economic Times Awards for Corporate Excellence, but I am handicapped of the position I am holding. Unlike Arunji, I don't have the liberty to express my personal views. I am bound by protocol, but at the same time, you might have spoken for the government, but I will be speaking for the country. So I have that much liberty to speak about the country. These awards are indicators of corporate India's role and contribution to the country's onward journey towards becoming an economic superpower. I am sure that today's winners will inspire others to become entrepreneurs, set new standards, target loftier goals, and above all, give back to society. Why this felicitation? Felicitation is to give inspiration to others. That is the purpose. Otherwise, what is it Adi Godrej is going to get by this award or this memento and all? It is only for a memento. For a moment. No. It will be a moment that will be remembered and also inspiring lots of people. My congratulations and best wishes to all the winners for their outstanding achievements. For more than 50 years, ET has chronicled India's economic rise. Its headlines have mirrored the trends in our economy.
Its cartoons and editorials have also lampooned the policies and politicians of the day. I have always enjoyed them, irrespective of whether I agreed with the content or not. When I was here at the ET Awards last year on October 28th, demonetization was close to completing 1 year, and goods and service tax was just a few months old. No doubt, demonetization has caused some hardship to the people initially, and GST faced technical teething problems in the beginning. However, like any other disruption, they spurred opportunities and growth and led to greater digitization, formalization, and integration of our economy. Any reform for that matter will be little painful. It's not easy to reform. And that too, a country like India, with such a huge population and diverse ways of living, it's not that much simple. Though the Prime Minister has given a general advice, I'm also very much impressed by that advice. That is, he said, reform, perform, and transform. Transform the nation in every walk of life, in every activity, in the governance, in the administration, in the public life. The impact of these two measures is very evident now. In a democracy, there will be criticism, and that too in our political system, there is going to be intense criticism also, sharp criticism also, and when the elections come nearer, it will be much sharper also. And people, fortunately, they are all used to this in this country. I always used to say when this transformation has taken place that temporary pain for long-term gain. It definitely gave some temporary pain to some sections of the people, but now the country is able to see the long-term gain. The impact is very evident. The formalization of the economy can be gauged by the rapid rise in the number of income tax payers, while the total direct tax collection in 13-14 was 6.38 lakh crores. The total income tax collection 17-18 was 10.2 lakh crores, the increase of 57% in these few years. I have mentioned these figures to emphasize how formalization of economy has led to increased revenues to the government, which in turn will help in earmarking greater finances for welfare and developmental programs. The auctioning of mines and other mineral resources too had a positive effect and helped increase the revenues to the coffers of the Union government and also to various state governments. My dear sisters and brothers, India today is the fastest growing economy, and the GDP growth has crossed the 8% mark in the April-June quarter, and the GST revenues, as per the reports, topped rupees 1 lakh crore in October. While many other economies around the world are struggling, India shines as a beacon of opportunity. In the last 1 year, I had an occasion to visit some of the countries abroad. I have been to Latin American countries and also have been to African countries recently. I have been to some European countries also. I am happy to share with you everywhere there is enormous enthusiasm and interest about India and about its growth story. They are very happy about the reforms process that has taken place or taking place in this country. Recently, I have been to Paris to attend that 100th anniversary of the World War I. Had an occasion to meet number of heads of states. Everywhere the focus is on India. I am not that much known because I am just got elected as a vice president. But in the moment mention India, they are all showing interest. India is the focus of attention, I can tell you. And also, India is the favorite destination for investment also. Everywhere, every leader, whoever I met, they were all talking and inquiring, and also they were conveying best wishes. Because India's growth story has impressed the world community, and not only the community as such, and also the other organizations. You refer to the World Bank report, or World Economic Forum, or ADB, or International Monetary Fund, or even Moody's ratings. Not Moody's ratings, Moody's ratings also. All this are a clear indication of the future, bright future for India. Several initiatives taken by the government to improve the economy with the ease of restrictions on FDI in various sectors, India has emerged as an attractive destination for FDI. India also saw a remarkable ease of doing business, ranking with the country placed on the 77th rank. We'll be more happy if you are able to come to below 50. That's the road ahead for all of us. While India has been ranked 11th in the Global FDI Confidence Index 2018, the cumulative FDI equity inflows into the country from April 2000 to December 17 have reached US $368 billion. At the same time, the digital economy is taking roots in a big way, and it is projected that it is likely to cross 1 trillion by 2022. In view of the important role played by the MSME sector, the government have recently announced a package, and I am sure that the measures taken in this regard would spur the economy even further. Friends, we are in the throes of a major shift in the country in the areas of work, agriculture, and industry. A new ecosystem for rapid economic growth is gradually taking shape. There is an air of expectation, a new buoyant sense of hope. A new ecosystem for rapid economic growth is gradually taking shape. Just now you heard saying that he was proud to say that he's also paying income tax and all. People used to feel shy to talk, to hear, or to touch income tax people earlier. That is not the case now. There is an air of expectation, a new buoyant sense of hope and optimism, a new confidence that can transform our current situation. And as someone who has been in public life for long and has been I have seen the struggles of generation of ordinary people up close, I could not be more excited to see the energy and opportunities in our country today. The opportunities are plenty, and this is the best time for those aspiring to become entrepreneurs. We need to convert challenges into opportunities, ensure a 9% GDP growth on a consistent basis to improve the quality of life of our citizens. The country can leapfrog in development by adopting innovative solutions across all sectors, from education to urbanization, from health to infrastructure. It is believed that if India maintains an 8% growth rate consistently, we can become a 10 trillion, the third largest economy in the world. New solutions to today's intractable challenges could be the main drivers of the resurgent India. The solutions not only have to be scalable, but also efficient and environmentally sustainable. The PricewaterhouseCoopers report suggested that up to 40% of India's $10 trillion economy in 2034 would be derived from the new solutions. Such solutions are likely to be implemented with 25 to 30% less resources than those required by traditional solutions. The report goes on to state that India's private sector, established corporations and entrepreneurial companies alike, can play a key role in developing and deploying innovative and resource-efficient winning leap solutions. However, for creation of the world-class Indian companies, the private sector needs to increase its investments in research and development from present 0.8% to GDP to 2.4% by 2034. It has been estimated that 9% GDP growth rate with a per capita income rising from $1,600 to about $7,000 per year will boost quality of life for more than 1.25 billion citizens. As the economy grows and the corporate world flourishes, more and more people should have access to avenues that will enable them to realize their potential, which I would like to describe as democratization of opportunity. Democratization of the opportunity. The industrial groups and various companies need to adopt an inclusive approach so that the right ecosystem is created for everybody to realize his or her potential in the new India. For achieving growth, it is important for Indian companies to embed values of integrity and honesty in organizational culture and uphold sustainability and social impact on core values. The companies are also needed to align their top management and boards to make everyone accountable for growth. The inclusive growth theory followed by this government is also having a positive effect on democratization of economy, with the improvement in living standards of the people for better satisfaction level among various sections. The growth has no meaning unless it is very inclusive. unless it helps everybody to improve their standard of living. A level playing field, an encouraging facilitative institutional structure, and a sound regulatory framework are essential ingredients for success. Ours is a banking-led economy, still short of a typical market-led economy. Certain aberrations which cropped in recent years in the form of misuse of the assets of the banks have shaken the confidence of the people in corporates and banks. Bad loans have crippled many banks. This needs to be fixed quickly. Banks and corporates should collectively work for a new normal to ensure that every rupee is put to the most productive use. There is no place for root and scoot approach. Though it was done by very few people, it brought bad name to our country and to our system. This is being talked about. Economic offences must not be allowed to go unchecked. Constant vigilance, effective supervision, and timely action to bring the offenders to book will restore financial system to good health. While the economy is poised for unprecedented growth, there are two important dimensions that we should not lose sight of. One is equity, and the second is ethics. Also, there is a need for various nations across the globe to arrive at a consensus in not providing shelter to economic fugitives. The UN should play a lead role in building such a consensus. I mentioned this in the recent Paris Peace Summit also. For a world peace, you want growth. But peace is a prerequisite for growth. If you have tension, then you cannot have attention towards anything. So that being the case, we have to focus on restoring the peace. And then if you have ethical-based business, economy, then you will be assured of more peace also. Otherwise, you will be always worried. We have seen also after demonetization, कुछ लोगों ने उसको मजाक उड़ाया और कहा ये जनधना and bank accounts were opened and a lot of people are joining that. Some people, I was there in the government at that time, I remember some people said, पैसा नहीं है तो खाता खोलने में मतलब क्या है? What is the fun of opening an account and there is no money? Such people, they realize the importance of opening up a bank account on 16 November 8th evening after hearing the Prime Minister's speech. Everybody started asking his driver, his cook and attendant, भाई आपके पास है तो बैंक अकाउंट है ना? कुछ दिन के लिए पैसा मैं उसमें रख सकता हूँ क्या ऐसा? It's a reality. Now, of course, it is the duty of the finance ministry and also income tax people, part of the Reserve Bank also to come out and then explain how much money that has come back to the bank is accounted money or not. That will be made known to the country, I hope, at the earliest. And secondly, after that phase is over, 36 crore bank accounts have been opened. And then after that, the money, people started saying also, I'm not able to understand, though I have been in public life, I am not an economist, of course, not an expert also, saying that भाई पैसा है तो पूरा बैंक में वापस आया. मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, उद्देश्य पैसा वापस आना है ना. जो पैसा बाथरूम में, बेडरूम में, पिल्लो के नीचे था, वो पैसा पिता के साथ और पति के साथ बैंक में पहुंचना है. वही पर्पस था. That is the purpose to my knowledge. The finance minister will be able to explain it better. It should all come into the system. That was the purpose. It has come into system now. Now it has to be verified. And then, that's why I purposefully I have given the statistics of the increase in the tax payment because this is the effect of that. Otherwise, you know what is happening. Economic offenses, as I told you, pose a direct challenge. So that's why I have taken up with the other leaders also, and I have been saying it in every forum, that the United Nations must focus on both kinds of terror. One is economic, other is security related. The United Nations should also come out with a framework for extraditional treaties, arrangements and exchange of information on black money. This is also very important, and now countries are also realizing. Even about the pain of terror, some of the countries, particularly Western countries, they could not understand our pain when we were crying earlier. Later, after 9/11, 26/11, now everybody started realizing the importance to fight terror. That I found everywhere, wherever I go and I mentioned about terror, every country is saying, yes, the United Nations must complete its consultation at the earliest Security Council and then go for some affirmative action. Same is the case with regard to economic offenses also. The world community should come together for a healthy economy and for a healthy and wealthy world order. You need to have certain amount of changes and reforms. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code enacted by the government has begun to turn the wheel. Some big resolutions have happened and banks are also getting back their money. There is now a change in mindset. There is a greater eagerness to settle dues in a timely fashion because promoters know that once they are dragged to NCLT, they should lose their companies. Banks are expected to recover, I am told, around 1.5 lakh crores of bad debts this year itself. What does this cleanup mean? It is obvious that the credit will go to those with bankable ideas and not to those with clout and connections. This is the democratization of credit. Earlier it was democratization of economy. Now this is democratization of credit. The insolvency law epitomizes the new way of doing business where there is no discretion in allocation of resources, there is no interference from the government, and decisions are based on merit of the proposal. Efficient allocation of capital is the bedrock of a robust modern economy. No doubt there has been a clear demonstration of resolve, sense of purpose and urgency on the part of central government, state government, corporations, entrepreneurs, investors and other stakeholders to collectively strive for building a new India where the aspirations of all citizens will be fulfilled. Dear sisters and brothers, the next 10 years are very crucial for our country, and the private sector will have to play a more proactive role in converting the challenges into opportunities. Earlier, we used to have some reservation about allowing private sector. Now it has become a matter of past. What is private? People who are all sitting here, they are also people of India. When you are allowing foreign direct investment, 10%, what is the fun of preventing private people? How much it costed the nation also of such policy earlier, we are all aware of it. So public-private partnership is the way forward. And that being the case, as I told you, we have to take care of the ethics and also value system. As I told you, I have recently met heads of states, and in those countries, I have seen Indian industries and businessmen have made significant contribution to their national economies. They welcomed India to their countries and strengthened bilateral economic ties. I find that there is a vast scope for all of our industrial and business houses to make a mark in the global marketplace. Though there is competition for investment, people are more inclined towards India because of our culture, because of our democratic nature. I also found during my recent visits that there was tremendous enthusiasm to invest in India. There was also widespread appreciation of the growth, reforms process and massive transformation taking place in India in recent times. Earlier, people used to complain about red tape. Prime Minister said red carpet. Ease of approvals, ease of doing business, that has become the order of the day. It should be strengthened further. As the other minister from Telangana was explaining, there should not be any occasion for anybody to go and meet or greet or shake hand or do something in between hand with the people in power. With the people in power. I remember, I don't know whether I should share it or not, I remember when I see Sajjan here, two people, gentlemen, Sajjan and another person, they came to me when I was the party president. Then they said they were referred by Sri Arun Jaitley, that gentleman who was doing road works. He told me, sir, we are very happy that I never had an occasion to meet your minister. That's why I came here to contribute something to the party. I did not understand whether it was a complaint or a compliment. Then I said, which minister? Then he said, the General Kanduri. So I felt very happy. He said, there was no need to go and meet him, greet him, or shake hand and do something in between hand. So that should be the order. That should be the order also. Apply, and within a particular time get reply, otherwise deemed to have been approved. That should be the order. That is possible through digitization. That is possible through online system. Online should be the main line so that there is no line in future. That should be a line for all of us. That is the way forward for a growing economy like India. The Indians for decades have been playing an important role in global technology landscape. In fact, two of the world's biggest technology companies, Google, Sundar Pichai, and Microsoft, Satya Nadella, are led by Indian CEOs. More and more Indian trained professionals are taking up positions in the world. The latest yesterday and today I saw in newspapers to join the high-profile post of CEOs are Kalyan Krishnamurthy in the Flipkart and also Manik Gupta as Chief Product Officer at Nowhere. So all this, there is talent available in India. What is required is upgradation and it is promotion and it is support. That is what is required. And that's, I am happy that the present system is providing it and I hope that this will be continued in future also irrespective of political affiliations. I am happy that there is a broad consensus on reforms across the country. So people may take posturing at times, but at the end of the day, I don't think that anybody is against the reforms process now. That's a positive thing which will be helpful for the country. I would urge each one of you to aim high, set new benchmarks and become global players in industry and commerce. You must become the leaders, the path breakers, pace setters that you are all capable to become. From the poverty line approach, we need to move on to index of life quality, which defines the availability of basic and decent standards of life for all our people. Our mission should be to ensure that all Indians live as per this new index. I am convinced that innovation, efficiency and technological progress shall be the key tools to build a new India. The private sector should play a more proactive role in converting this challenge into an opportunity. I would like you to be at the forefront of this transformation, the transformation of our economy, the transformation in the way we perceive. The bottom line, ethics and economics should go hand in hand. Corporate ethics and value-based business should become our guiding principles. Here I would like all of you to remember the 7 social sins mentioned by Mahatma Gandhi: wealth without work, pleasure without conscious knowledge, knowledge without character, business without morality, science without humanity, religion without sacrifice, and politics without principle. These are the 7 sins Mahatma Gandhi has mentioned. Every one of us, irrespective of whatever vocation we are, we should remember this and adhere to this. India, share and care is the core of Indian philosophy. Share and care is the core of Indian philosophy. From the times immemorial, we used to follow this. And we also believe in Vasudaika Kutumbakam, Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. In spite of being a knowledge center and Vishwa Guru in the world, in spite of having so much economic wealth before the invaders came here, we never attacked any country because we believe in peaceful and harmonious living. Every time Dick and Harry came and attacked us, looted us, cheated us also, cheated some of our minds also. We are suffering on account of that even now, after they left also, because some of our minds are cheated. We are not able to come out of that colonial mindset also even today. The basic principles has to be kept in mind. For the success of democracy and for all-round human development, as also the progress of the country, I feel personally, we have to select and elect leaders on the basis of 4 C's. 4 C's. Leaders not only in politics, in every walk of life. 4 C's: character, caliber, capacity, and conduct. But unfortunately, the other 4 C's are trying to step in. They are caste, community, cash, and then criminality. If you get tempted to this, if they get greater importance, this is not good for our democracy. This has to be understood by one and all. Over the years, we have seen a gradual deterioration in values in almost all the fields, and the corporate world is no exception to this undesirable trend. Although we have enough laws to deal with wrongdoings, lack of oversight by those in authority, or collusion by some officials with wrongdoers, that has led to the frauds. We have to strive collectively to clean the system. We need a real Swachh Bharat in every sense of the term. There is also a need to create an atmosphere in which whistleblowers can report and act fearlessly. For the country to have a sustainable growth, successful democracy, we need to have an able leader and a stable government. I am not mentioning any particular party. That is the people's choice. We also need leaders with credibility and proven track record. Credibility assures growth and prosperity. Ability and stability, it goes together. That is an important thing that has to be kept in mind while selecting and electing leaders in any chosen field. We should eschew politics of populism and move towards politics of pragmatism, which will benefit society in long term. Freebies are not a solution. When I was mentioning it earlier, when I was in government and party, my colleagues and all used to caution me, sir, it will affect you and all, because now freebies has become this thing, and also a loan waiver, free power have become the order of the day. They are not the final solution to these problems. I am an agriculturist by profession. I come from the agriculture background. I know the problems of the agriculture. But loan waiver is no solution. You waive the loan for this season. What about next season? Who is going to waive it? It is possible to have continuous loan waiver if you have a continuous deposit waiver also. If one can go for that all the deposits put by you in your banks, they can also be waived. Then one can do this also. That's not possible. The system will collapse. So, and also free power also. Free power means, I always say, free power means first low power, then no power. No power is free power only. It will not be charged also, and there is no power. What is required is assured power. What is required is quality power. We have to change the mindset of the people. We have to guide the people. The political leadership, the industry leadership, and the societal leadership, they should all take initiative to change the mindset of the people and make them to think constructively, and then lead them accordingly. See, my friends, so way forward is to improve the living conditions, create opportunities, reach the unreached, fund the unfunded, and recognize the unrecognized. That is the way forward. That is the real democratization of the economy and democracy. My dear sisters and brothers, share and care, as I told you, has been the core of Indian philosophy. And I urge you to spare a thought for those less fortunate than us. Private companies and business houses must also increase their CSR activities. I am sure some of the companies are doing more than the required CSR quota. I am personally aware of it. But much more needed to be done by large sections of the society, particularly the business community. Indeed, the sky is the limit for expansion of CSR activities. Here I would like to quote the words of Thiruvalluvar, who said, "The true nature of all wealth is temporary. Those who have wealth must here and now do good deeds that will live for a long time." The money is not going to come with us. The name and the fame, the good work that you have done, that will remain forever because of the good work you do. I would also like to recall the trusteeship concept propounded by Mahatma Gandhi to establish a truly egalitarian society where the wealthy people part with their wealth for the welfare of the poor. I would also suggest that we should revitalize agriculture. Agriculture is our basic culture, because more than 60% of our population depends on agriculture. Our growth story will be incomplete if we ignore this sector. We have to bring an interdisciplinary approach to make agriculture sustainable and profitable. Agriculture is facing certain problems. The finance ministry is aware of it, and the prime minister also is focusing special attention. But at the same time, you need a multi-pronged approach. You need a collective effort by center and state government and also other organizations also. Value addition, diversification, they are the need of the hour in the agriculture. There is now space for free-spirited entrepreneurship where opportunities will be available equally to those with deep pockets and those just armed with a good idea. You, Indian Inc., will have to step in now. India is not going to become prosperous by the actions of the government alone. India will become rich when you invest and create jobs and wealth. Growth will be achieved through partnership between government and private enterprise. My dear friends, India's moment has arrived. Let us seize this opportunity. In every section, in every sphere, there is a lot of opportunity. And Indians are also being welcomed everywhere. And outsiders also want to come and invest in India. And then you have a stable policy framework. And you have a broad reform consensus. That being the case, let us all move forward, work together, and build a strong, resurgent, inclusive India. I urge corporate India also to rise to the occasion and join in building a new and prosperous India. I would like to end my speech by once again congratulating all the winners and the Economic Times for taking this initiative and organizing this event. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'd like to request the Vice President, the ministers to remain on stage, ladies and gentlemen, and all the award winners to join them for a group photo that will become a part of the ET Awards' rich legacy and history. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we request you to please stay in your seats as we will be playing the national anthem in a short while. A round of applause for all the winners, please. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please rise for the national anthem? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this evening. I would like to thank the Vice President and the ministers, our partner, Deloitte, and all of you for making this a night to remember. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't go away. Drinks, dinner, and delightful conversation await you right outside. Thank you. Good night.